Hey, what's up? Sandra from Offshore Audio. When I first started mixing gigs, it was always in little clubs because I wanted to mix bands, and that's where bands were playing, and that's where my friends' bands would let me mix them and so on. But clubs often had DJs after the band set, and that was always something that I didn't really know what I was doing with. So with that in mind, I've created this video so that I can share with you guys what I learned back then and obviously going forward about the important things to do when setting up for a DJ in a club and making sure that everyone's happy. So without further ado, let's dive in.
So I have here in front of us a selection of really common, high quality DJ equipment. And what we're going to do is we're going to hook it up. So what we have here is Pioneer CDJs, CDJ 2000 Nexus 2. It's a CD player. It has a USB slot to play tracks off of a USB stick. It's industry standard for this kind of thing. I have a Pioneer DJM 900. Again, really standard mixer for this kind of thing. Pioneer equipment, pretty much your go-to for DJ equipment. I also set up a Technics 1210 turntable here. You're also going to see that a lot. Anyone who's playing vinyl records is going to be using one of these, pretty much. And if they're using different brands, the principles remain the same. You're connecting everything up in the same sort of ways. I've already powered everything on, but let's have a look at the connections on the back. What we're going to do is we're going to connect this up to our master output, just like in any mixer, right? We've got our XLR stereo out over here. And in this case, we're going to take an XLR cable and we're just going to plug it straight in there. Now here, I'm lucky enough to have some powered monitors, so I can just go ahead and connect that up. If your DJ is on a stage in a venue or something, you might be connecting these master outputs into the inputs of your mixer, so via a stage box or something like that. And that's something really important to keep in mind when connecting up other parts of the DJ mixer as well. The next thing up is monitoring, right? So these mixers come with an output labeled booth. That's your monitor output. It's the same as anything else. It's an auxiliary output that you can use, or the DJ can use, to feed their own booth. Now, you could set up monitors via your mixer, just like you would on a regular stage, but it's a lot better if you give the DJ control over their booth monitor because they know what they want to hear. Why not just cut yourself out of the problem and let them mix their own monitor? On this mixer, it's a jack output. I tend to use a little converter, jack to XLR, and we can take out left here is mono. I'm not going to be doing it in stereo, but that's an option. And I'm going to be taking this mono and connecting it to a powered speaker for the DJ monitor. Now, you might not have a powered speaker. You might just be using passive speakers like you do in your venue, in which case you can do what you did with the main out of the DJ mixer. You take this output, the booth output, run it into a channel on your mixer, and then you send that channel to the DJ monitor. That way, when the DJ turns up the booth control, the signal comes out of the booth output here into the mixer, and then you have routed it back to their monitor. So they have control just via your mixer. So let's take a look at these inputs here. You'll see that there are line and phono inputs. Both of them are on RCA style connectors, phonos. Some people call them phonos. The type of connector is RCA. Phono is just the signal level that's being sent here. Line level is a different signal level. If you're unsure about any of this, I've got a workshop that you can take for free. It's the first part of my Unlock Live Sound course. You can take it for free by checking out the link just down below this video. And this is the kind of stuff I cover in that first free module. It's the difference between a phono signal and a line signal. So check the link down below and check out that free module from my workshop. Anyway, back to our connectors. We'll be using these type of connectors to connect all of our players, that's our CDJs and our Technics turntable, to our mixer. A lot of the time on this kind of equipment, it's not labeled on the back of it. When we look at the back of the CDJs, you'll see that it just says audio out, but it's a line level signal that comes out of it. So we'll take our RCA jack here into our audio out, and we'll just plug them in, keeping the colors matched, of course. Red is always right. Left is sometimes white or grey or some other thing, but red is always white. And now we've connected our audio output. There's one other really important bit on the back of a CDJ, and that is this link connection here. That allows the DJ to access what's playing or plugged into this CDJ on the other CDJ. So we just take a network cable, Cat5, Cat6, and we connect it into one CDJ and then connect it into the link port on the second CDJ as well. So that way you can see we've got a network cable here going between the two CDJs. The one thing to note over here with the Technics turntable is that the phono jacks that come out the back, sending a phono level signal on the RCA jacks, are directly connected into the turntable. So you don't need a separate phono cable. You just take these from the turntable and connect them to the mixer. So the last thing we need to do now is connect our booth monitor to the speaker. As I mentioned before, this is a powered speaker. So I'm just going to flip it up, make sure the levels are down, plug it into the first input socket and turn it up. Now my speaker's ready to go. It's connected to the DJ booth. So let's make some noise and talk about the mixer a little bit more. So now that we're all connected together, let's just take a look at things up here. First of all, the mixer. I usually set up the CDJs on the center 2 channels and the turntables on the outer 2 channels. That's pretty normal in my experience. And this mixer, which is a rental, has some really faded lines here in the middle, which tells me that everyone else is doing the sort of same thing. On the top here, we have a selector, whether it is a line level or phono or various other things. And we also have a trim control. So when we play off a track, we can adjust the gain so that we're hitting 0. I usually carry a USB stick with me with at least one track that I can test something on. So we're just going to take this to a CDJ and we're going to just plug it into this USB slot up here. It'll flash and then we can press the USB button here. Go into the folder that I see here. Here's my track. Select it, cues it up, play it. Of course, remember this is just us testing for our own sake. If you look over here, I don't know how well you can see it, but the lights here are way up in the red, so I'm going to bring the trim control down until it's peaking more around 0. Our master volume is up here. I've got it turned up. So when I turn this fader up, we should get some noise. So we know that CDJ is working. Fantastic. We can stop that playing. And what we need to do now is test the link control on the other CDJ. So here's the other CDJ. What I'm going to do is, you'll see that there is no USB in here. But what I can do is I can press link, and then I can see my USB stick here. So I can select same track, cue it up, press play. Really important thing to notice here, this was set to reverse. If you try to play something and it doesn't play because it's showing the final second, that's showing that you've got a full song in front of you, you need to select forward as the play type. Now you see it going. Again though, your DJ is probably able to work that out for themselves, but it's good for you to test. Now you say over here, I'm really hot again, so I'll turn it down, bring this up. No bass, because the bass is turned out on the control. There we go. So I know that my CDJs are set up, the link function is working. You would of course set something on your turntable and play it as well. I don't happen to have any records here though, so you'll have to take my word for it that it works. Now that we know that we have everything working, we can also double check the booth. The booth monitor is just here on this mixer. Turn this up. There's my booth.
So I hope that one was helpful. As you can see, it's mostly just good signal flow knowledge that helps you out here. If you struggle with signal flow, you should check out my workshop, free module down in the comments. We cover signal flow in depth. Once you've got the signal flow under control, it's just getting everything into that mixer and making sure that the mixer, again, is sending out to your speakers. Make sure that you know your signal levels. Make sure that you know that your line level signals from your CDJs are coming into line inputs, and make sure that your turntables are going into phono inputs, and that the selector, you have the right switch selected, and the gain structure is good. Remember that DJs need monitors too. And remember that they also like to have their CDJs connected via a link cable so that they can play tracks from one on the other mixer. But let me know if you're having any problems setting up DJs. Is that something you need to do in your job? Do you want to mix bands but end up mixing DJs? Let me know what you think about it, and let me know if you think there's a better way of setting up for a DJ set, or if, even better, if you're a DJ, let me know what you think about this. Either way, I'll hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.